Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and I'm actually in a new room I've put together as my new studio. You can't tell because you're looking at pretty much the same board here. And this was kind of my first painting being done in here. And it's funny when you have a new room you've painted in another area or whatever, a lot of paintings. Kind of takes some getting used to the vibe of the room, you know, having all your stuff in the right place. That's something important when you're painting. You should have your brushes in a certain spot. You get used to things. This is Arches paper, by the way. I went back to this because when I was moving all my paint, I'm like, wow, I got a lot of paper here. um, I got Canson XL, and I got Arches and Bockingford and Saunders, and I got to start using up some of this paper. So that's my thing right now as I've moved, and this wasn't really necessarily meant to be a painting that I was going to put a video on, but it turned out pretty well, and I thought it'd be a good addition to the learning process and to just kind of sharing. So I'm wetting this paper down. Now remember, with cotton paper, a little bit more water you're going to probably use. You're going to really saturate that paper pretty good. And I'm just jumping in here with some blue. Got a little bit of yellow on there. It's no problem. But again, you should have the comfort of, being able to reach for your brushes and those are in the same spot, and have a nice table, and a table where everything is assorted there and you can just grab for things and not really have to think about it. So this was just kind of breaking me in a little bit, getting me used to the new space. And here I'm just taking a little bit of yellow. You can see on my palette here, I've got like 3 yellows. I think I'm going to re-simplify my palette when I really get settled in here. And just so we don't see all these colors during the painting process, but I like to have options. Grabbing some cobalt blue here. Again, I have like 3 blues on my palette. You can see this just by looking. I try to keep it visible so you can see. 3 reds. I have like 3 browns. I even have a couple of grays now. I like Payne's gray, which is a bluey gray. And then I have indigo, which is a purpley gray. Really, it's like a purple, but it's kind of like a gray to me, and I've been kind of going to it more than I have been like the Payne's gray. But they both have that sort of dark channel. You don't want to use too much of it. So you can see me going into my browns here. And a lot of people want to know exactly what colors you're using. Look at the reds, look at the browns, look at the blues and yellows. Those are going to be your main colors. Just like here, I've got some different blues in here, trying to come up with like a dark little mountain structure. But if you follow like the Ron Ranson palette, which is ultramarine blue, burnt umber, Payne's gray, lemon yellow, light red, and those basic colors, that's really all you need. But I've strived to make my stuff look a little different, and you should too. You should explore a few other colors within the range, and you might find ones that you like. Now, if you're doing the Cotman line, there's not a whole lot of unique choices there. If you go and buy like Daniel Smith paints, they've got a lot of unique colors there. You can get into more different green, undersea green, which is a really nice green. Here I've got some little brown with a little yellow here. I want this to be a foreground mountain. Very simple scene. Again, while this is wet, and cotton paper tends to stay wetter, although it's very absorbent, it tends to stay a little wetter. So here we go, into a little Payne's gray here, just darkening this up here, just to get a little dimension to these mountains. Obviously, you want to paint in that loose format. You paint like you don't care, although you do. Now, again, I find myself, I tend to paint in a certain scale. If you paint smaller mountains, you can get a grander, more grandeur, epic, wider field of view. Something I'll do maybe in another video. I'll go with the smaller hake, and I'll try to keep the mountains at a smaller scale. Now here I couldn't find a card in my new studio here. So I'm taking the back of a paint tube and scraping with that. I feel a little discombobulated in this room because my things are not there. It's like, okay, I need a roll of kitchen roll here, and I need it set up here, and where's my, card scraper? And I realize I need another table. I need a table maybe I can roll up to where I'm at. Because before I had a desk next to me, and now I don't have that. So I had to put that in another room. So I'm using, I have my main table. I have an easel behind me so that I can jump over on the easel if I want to. And then I'm trying to do like better lighting and better filming, which was another experiment for this. You tell me what you think in the comments. Does it look good? Does it sound good? I'm using a different device for recording and editing so that I can actually see, believe it or not, Apple iMovie, when you do it on a phone, the audio gauge covers up like half of your painting. You can't even see what you were doing if you were narrating after the fact. So you can see here I've done a little scraping. I'm taking a little, while it's wet, I can take a little bit of this tissue. You see here, and you can blot out, look, you can blot out crevices in the mountain. And when you look at this from a distance, obviously you're looking at a camera filming from like 2 feet away, 1 foot away. When you put it on a wall at a distance, everything will look, realistic. And then of course I give it the spray with the continuous spray brush. When I first did mountains, I was always not really happy with them. And when I started using the spray bottle and blending things a little bit, it was like the missing ingredient for me. I'm taking a little bit of that bluey gray that I had, and I'm just going to go for some light here. Nice reflective water, at least light reflective. Still want to get that light that I am kind of becoming known for. People have been calling it the Mensa light, which is kind of funny. But I do go for light in, a certain kind of lighting in the picture. It's very important to me to create a dramatic feel, really just not just an average painting, but something that makes you feel like, hey, I was there, or something that makes you look twice at the painting. And that's what I go for. A little bit of green here mixed with a little bit of gray, just to have some foliage at the base. I find that, doing this, there's a little bit of yellow on top. It frames, you can use foliage to frame various items. You can use it to anchor trees to the ground, go around the base of mountains. Kind of like when you do your home and you put in your walls, right? Like drywall we use here. Some people have plaster walls, but typically on the bottom you might put like a baseboard, and that is like trim. It covers things. That's kind of what the idea is here. Is it's like trim. So far, not too bad. I'm going to do a little bit more scraping. Again, I'm grabbing another paint tube to do this. Have yourself a good credit card with round edges. And I can't stress this enough, but like when you have a plastic card, the edges have to be very smooth. It's a success for good scraping, is to have a very smooth card with round edges. So not just cutting a card in half, but like cutting it in a round form. And then you can take a little bit of rough edge and rub it against there to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Okay, coming in with my fan brush, just adding some little darks there. Now, this is really okay, so we have the light in the center of the water now. Now I'm going to put little jetties here. These little jetties or these little peninsulas are very dark. Doing that will contrast and make the middle area look darker. That's one way to kind of fool the eyes into thinking something's really brighter than it is, by putting something really dark up against something really light. And that's where kind of the word counter change comes from. So you want to have these areas of contrast, like bands, almost like striped shirt kind of a thing. You know, that's why people wear stripes. It's a pattern that the eye looks at. It's something that catches your attention. And there's definitely patterns in paintings. We just don't want them so obvious that you're looking at, then you'd be going into an abstract. Abstract is about making patterns, you know, patterns that they don't really mean necessarily a specific thing to a specific viewer, although they could mean something to anyone, but they're patterns, geometric or whatever lines to, they're pleasant in a way, they're ambiguous, but they still have a pleasant space on your wall. Now you can see I've scraped in a few little rocks. And I'm just doing the little shoreline there. So hopefully in the coming days, weeks, months, better quality, better lighting for my videos. And hopefully they inspire you more than they already have and, you know, get you painting and having a good time. So you can see a simple scene, little light center there, right in the center, almost like a focal point. That bright light kind of pulls you in. You have a subtle sky, and then just a couple of mountains. There's nothing here that's complicated, but the little burst of light in the center, something like that is just enough to catch your interest. There has to be something, you know, you don't want blasé, you know, you want it to, you know, you want some sort of excitement there, even though looking at a landscape isn't very exciting. And look, I found a plastic card. Going into the drawer there, I found a card. And I'm just doing a little scraping to make these hills look just a little bit more realistic. And this one's kind of dried a little more than it should have if I want to, you know, make something look more realistic. You can see this card here I've cut in half. It does have one sharp corner, which you kind of don't really want. And of course, if I spray it a little bit with the bottle and things run a little bit, I find that to be exciting. I don't mind that. In loose painting, we don't worry about, if you look to the left at the base of the mountain, you can see that's kind of running down. I find that to be a source of excitement. Look at, I'm popping in a few more rocks. When you have nice wet paint, wiping those rocks, it's just magical, you know. So we're closing in on the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed me sharing this with you. This wasn't going to really be a video, but after I did it, and I thought this could turn out to be something we can share and go over together, and go over the idea of setting up your room so that it's comfortable. It should be a place of relaxation. It should be a place you can escape. You can have quiet, have your headphones, have all your tools within an arm's reach, and you can sit down, you can get away from the world for an hour and paint. So let's take a look at this one. And there it is close up. I think it turned out pretty good for just a quick, you know, working out the kinks of my move. Here it is in a matte. Thank you so much, everyone.